Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Belle and this is Routine Queen Bee. Before we get started in today's video, I do want to apologize if you can hear any background noise. I usually film these before my son wakes up in the morning, but this morning I just did not have the time. So I put on a movie for him and... What, baby? You want more cereal? Okay, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry for the interruption. As I was saying, clearly my son is awake today. He is watching a movie, which I don't usually do, but I had to so I could film this video. Anyways, how was everyone's New Year's? Did you stay up for the countdown? Did you go out to celebrate with friends or family? Or were you more like us and it was just a regular day? You were in bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock like usual. We're not very big on celebrating New Year's in our house just because we really love our sleep. Let me know in the comments down below how you celebrated, and I hope you all had fun. Sorry if I'm a little bit out of breath for today's video. I am 27 weeks pregnant, and I'm kind of feeling the pressure on my lungs at this point. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Today's video is going to be a paycheck breakdown of my first paycheck for the month of January. I did actually film a video prior to this one, but I put it in the wrong spot in this budget binder and it was kind of all over the place. It was the very first time I'd actually filled out one of these sheets, so it was kind of trial and error and it was kind of disastrous. So I decided to film it again since I put it in the wrong area the first time. I figured I could do that since I can put it in the right area now. Anyways, let's start with my income. I do work for 2 different agencies. I do the same thing for both, just caregiving for my brother-in-law. But I have to work through 2 different agencies because they are, I believe they're state funded. So I'm not allowed to get overtime. But I have more than 40 hours per week that I can use. So I just have to do 40 through my first agency, and then I have 11 that I can do through my second agency. So that's why I have 2 different incomes, but it's basically the same thing. Anyways, let's go ahead and add these together. So first paycheck or first agency paid me $1513.34 approximately. And then my second agency paid me $315.39 approximately. I'm only able to see the pre-tax amount until I actually get paid. So I usually just do the math myself to remove the taxes. And that's what I budget based off of. So when I actually get paid, it could be a little bit more or less. Usually it's more than what I budget, because I try to take out just a little bit extra for taxes so I'm not over budgeting for anything. And then my pay dates may be a little bit off. Usually they're pretty consistent, but with the holidays and the banks being closed and payroll office being closed, I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna get paid right on these dates, but it should be somewhere close to it. So my total income for my first paycheck is $1,828.73 approximately. And I will come back later, probably off camera, and fill out the actual amounts for everything. So moving on to my fixed expenses, I have a loan due on the 6th, and that is $410. And then my car insurance comes out on the 14th, and it's technically my car insurance plus renter's insurance, but I just kind of lump it together since it comes out at the same time because it goes to the same company. So my car insurance is $166. So $1252.73. Oh wait, that's what's left over. So $166. Next is my pet insurance. It comes out every month on the 15th, and I usually budget $60. It's usually a little bit less, but just in case they up it a couple dollars a month, I like to budget $60. And then if there's anything extra, I will reallocate it as needed. And water, I usually budget $115. I don't think I subtracted that yet. Just because that's the most amount we've ever paid for our water bill. And I prefer to budget on the higher end and have extra left over to use towards savings challenges or whatever I need it for, than under budget and end up having to scramble to find the extra money to pay it. So $115 is what I budget for. So I have $1,077.73 left. I think I'm just gonna write that to the side, because I figured out from my trial and error video that I'm supposed to add these up and write that number here instead of subtracting these from the total. Like I said, my first video was a complete disaster. It was so hectic, so I'm redoing it. So let's clear that out. 410 plus 166 plus 60 plus 115 equals $751. And that sounds about right from my last video. Next is my variable expenses. Groceries and gas, I usually try to keep those the same every month if I can. The only time I will subtract money from these categories is if it's a really tight budget that month, then I will take a couple dollars from each of those categories. But for the most part, it stays pretty consistent. So I have $1,077 left and 73 cents. Minus, I usually budget $200 for groceries. And then gas, I usually budget $90. And this is for 2 weeks because I get paid, I'm paid semi-monthly, so not quite bi-weekly. Unfortunately, that means I don't get any magic months. It just means that I always will get 2 paychecks per month. So if it's a short month, my 2 paychecks will likely be kind of small. And if it's a long paycheck, if it's a long month, my paychecks will probably be bigger just because there's more days in that month for me to accumulate more pay, if that makes sense. Okay, so after gas is my own personal spending money. There's my son. My own personal spending money this week, I'm just gonna give myself, or this week, this pay period, I'm just gonna give myself $10. I usually don't go out too much, so that should be fine. Fun money I use for taking my family out, and we don't go out that often either, so usually I will kind of let that roll over to a bigger amount and then we'll have an outing. But fun money, I'm also just gonna do 10. Food, we do like to eat out every once in a while. And since I'm not buying for just me, I am purchasing food for my entire family. I usually do try to put a little bit more in my food category. So we're gonna do 30. And then miscellaneous, I usually don't put too much in there since it's just kind of like a buffer, or if I forgot to budget for something small, I'll pull that from miscellaneous. So I'm left with $727.73. Okay. I do have a little notebook here on the side to kind of keep track of my balances since I have to delete them to add these up. So variable expenses is 200 plus 90 plus 10 plus 30 plus 10 again. Oh, whoops, I missed one. Plus another 10. 350. Okay, I'm gonna redo that to make sure because I kind of messed up. So 200 plus 90 plus 10 plus 10 plus 30 plus 10. Okay, yeah, $350. And I am left with $727.73. Next is my subscriptions. I pay for 2 of our subscriptions and my husband pays for 2 other subscriptions. So we kind of break it up. So one of us isn't paying for all of our streaming services. And then Amazon is like my own personal subscription that I pay for just because I really like to order off of Amazon. I get Christmas gifts, I get birthday decorations, any party decorations from there. I bought a lot of my cash stuffing, like my binders and my calculator. Actually, I bought a lot of my cash stuffing supplies off of Amazon. So I do pay for Prime so I can get that free shipping. It is worth it to me. So Netflix is due on the 16th and it is $20. Let me write that down. And then next is Amazon. That comes out on the 17th. I believe that is $16 and some change, but I'm just gonna round that up to 17. And then Paramount Plus is $12.99, so obviously we're just gonna do 13 for that. And our remaining balance is $677.73. We're gonna go ahead, oops, I forgot to write that down. We're gonna go ahead and add these up now to see what our total is. 20 plus 17 plus 13, $50. That sounds right. Okay, $50 for subscriptions. And now we are left with $677.73. Now let's move on to my debt. My first credit card is, if you watched my previous video, you might already know, but my first credit card is, it has like an intro APR right now of like 1% interest, because I did a balance transfer onto this card. So even though the balance is really high, my minimum payment is only about $70. But I'm going to budget for $100 because I do want to pay this down as much as possible before the intro APR ends, and I have about 10 more months left on that. What, baby? Okay, and my next card is, it's actually my lowest balance, highest interest card. So I am going to also pay a little bit extra on this card. My minimum is 30, but I'm gonna do 50 so I can pay that down just a little faster. Okay. And then usually you'd think that I would do card number 3 because that card is due next, but I break it up a little bit differently for my credit cards because my card number 3 has a really high balance on it. So my minimum payment is like really high and I can't really afford to pay it with this paycheck. So I pay it with the next because the due date is after I get my second paycheck. So it works out. And credit card number 4 doesn't have that high of a balance. My minimum payment is just $40. So that's all I'm gonna budget for that. Okay, so I'm left with $487.73. And this adds up to 100 plus 50 plus 40, $190 towards debt this pay period. And then here, my total income is $1,828.73. And then I'm supposed to add these together. So let me do that. 751 plus 350 plus 50 plus 190 equals 1,341. So now let's subtract that. 1828.73 minus 1341. So I'm left with $487.73 to put towards my variable expenses and sinking funds. Or I guess just sinking funds. So the rest is on the other side. So let's flip it over and it's perfect. Okay, so we have $487.73 left. Before I even do any of my sinking funds, I'm gonna do my high priority. Just because this is my high priority. I have my son's like college investment account and then my retirement. So I do like to add money to those first so I can make sure they get funded before I do anything else. So my son's, I always try my best to do at least $100 per month. I'm not always able to make that happen when things are tight, but this month I have enough. So I will budget for 100. And my own retirement, I typically do a little bit less than what I budget for my son because I figure I have a little bit more time to save for my retirement than I do to save for my son's college fund. So there's 80 for that. Emergency, I typically do 20 per month and just let that add up. And I am going to try and build my emergency fund up to $1,000. Right now, I think it's only $370. But with that, that'll get me to $390. So by the end of the year, hopefully that'll be $1,000 or more. We'll see. Okay. So 180, 200. 200 towards my high priority funds. Next, we'll do my sinking funds. First is my son's like spending money, things that he needs, like he actually has his own binder that I'm going to start for him this upcoming year. It is this gray one. I haven't put any money in it yet. I will, probably in one of my next upcoming videos, but it has several like different categories for him, including ones for like the future, like cell phone. He's obviously not going to need a phone at 2 years old, probably won't for another decade, but I just want to get prepared for when that time does come. So I am going to budget a little bit higher of an amount for him than I will for my husband, just because my husband doesn't need to have his money divvied up like that. He will be giving me some of his paycheck to divvy up for him. So I think I'm going to do $50. And like I said, that's just a higher amount because I do need to break that up into different categories for him. And my husband, his name is Bryce. I have my own spending money for him, and like I said, this black binder will be his. He's going to send me some of his paycheck to cash stuff for him because he likes the idea of cash stuffing, but he doesn't like the actual like process of having to take out money from the bank and divvy it up into these envelopes. He would prefer me to just do it for him, and then when he needs money, I can just pull it out and hand it to him, which works for me because I really do enjoy the process. So for him, I'm gonna do $30. Rainy day, if you watched my first video, you probably already know what this is, but if you haven't, I will explain again. This is like a supplemental income for my husband. Just because we are going to have another baby in March, and he doesn't have very much PTO. He just used it all because we had 2 weddings in his home state of Michigan to attend. So he used basically all of his PTO for those. So I'm gonna try and save some money for him to help supplement his income when he does stay home for the baby, the new baby. I know I probably won't be able to save up too much by March, but I'm gonna do my best. So for rainy day, I'm gonna do 25. And then for Christmas, I am a big gift giver, so I go huge on Christmas. I know I will go absolutely overboard on my Christmas budget if I don't have enough in there. What, baby? Sorry for the interruption. My son had to bring me his trash. Anyways, moving on. As I was saying, Christmas, I will go absolutely overboard if I don't budget a lot for that. So I'm gonna do $100 for Christmas. And I definitely won't be able to save $100 every paycheck, but the end of December, which is the pay period for this paycheck, was very long. So I did get a bigger paycheck than usual. So I have the extra money to put towards that. Next is shopping. I think shopping, I'm just gonna do $20. Yeah, because I do want to try and leave some money for savings challenges. I already did that. And then travel, it's really not a priority right now. We don't have any travel plans currently. And we have a little bit of money in the travel envelope. So I think I'm just gonna leave that for 0 for this month. Why does it seem like I have more than usual left over? Let me redo my math so I can double check. Okay, I guess I had a little bit more than I thought I would left over. So the $62.73, I guess I'll just put that all towards savings challenges. Wow, okay, I guess I'll be able to save a little bit more than I thought this month, which will be nice. The leftover from page 1 was $487.73. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. You know what? I guess since I have so much, I will just put the $2 extra towards travel. So I'm just gonna round this down to 60. I will have $60 to use towards my savings challenges. Let's add these up. 225 plus 200 plus 2, 427. And then, so that leaves me with 60.73 to put towards savings challenges. And I will probably just make another video to do these because I did order some savings challenges off of Etsy, but I haven't received them yet. So like I said, I'll probably do another video setting up those and then filling it out here and finishing the rest once I do that. Yeah. Oh, and my savings challenges from Etsy, I did get 2 like bundles from 2 different Etsy shops. The first bundle of savings challenges that I bought was from JennABeeSaves, which if you don't know, she is from Two Sister Bees. And the second Etsy shop that I purchased from was TheBlushingHippo. And I actually did get this budget binder from Etsy as well, from ThatBudgetBabe. So if you're interested in any of those, I will go ahead and link them down below, even though I haven't even received my savings challenges yet. I will link them below in this video and in my savings challenge video as well. I think that is pretty much it for today's video. Anyways, thank you so much for sticking with me through this entire video if you're still here. And if you like this kind of content, please don't be afraid to drop a like and subscribe. And I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Not yet, baby. I'm not done with the candle, but you can blow it out when I'm done, okay? Okay? How does that sound?
Mama.
Yeah, Mama's doing her
No.
budgeting. No. The doggy got too close?
No.
You're so cute. Okay, Papa, you want to go watch a movie?